Hello and welcome to episode 33 of Fables from the Pickled Quipper. We pick up right after the Hand of Aegis have been in a colossal fight.
So, let's talk about where we were last session. We picked up with the Hand of Aegis down a corridor with no light at the end of it. Eventually, you decided to kind of peek around. I think Eska had to peek first and saw orcs looking directly at her, not shooting, but with bows trained. And then Bardur came around the corner and started shooting everything. Then proceeded a very gory, gritty battle. Multiple orcs and an orog. One rather curious creature. Looked sort of orc adjacent, shorter, wider, very dark skin, wielding a brutal looking greatsword. Battle went back and forth. Cassette and Silverius took a lot of damage. I forgot to mention, because I really liked it, we created a new bird, the Lowerdale's Junco, that Eska used. Claire terrified everybody by incinerating an Orog, and then pummeled the big hulking Hrashnar. Hrashnar. I can't even read my own writing. Hrashnar, who slid into the against the wall, slumped down, and appears to have dissolved into some sort of goo. After he fell, the rest of the orcs kind of went into a somewhat suicidal rage, threw themselves at the steel wall that is Silverius and Cosette, and came off badly for it. And that's basically where we pick up.
Oh, so right after the haze faded, Silverius did put his arm on Cosette, and he's breathing super heavily. And he's just kind of like looking around a little bit and using her for balance, and looks over at her and just there's a kind of a stare of acknowledgement.
I've been worrying there for a moment. Are you okay?
She's like holding her side where like there's a kind of like a cut and she's bleeding everywhere. And she just kind of looks over and it's like, not really, but I'll be fine.
Fair.
And he looks over to Claire and looks over to the place where the body was and takes a step towards the body, but then heads towards Claire as Bardur looks like he's running up. Or
yeah, I mean, I up to I see Clear just sitting there, and I kind of come up to her and awkwardly just kind of pat her on the shoulder.
She just looks up at him and her face just looks completely stricken. It's pale and she just looks completely lost.
So, you all right, lass?
He asked for a truce and I couldn't stop. I felt so much magic in me and I couldn't, it had to get out. And you see her eyes like start to like glimmer with tears.
Bardor's like he hasn't, so he's just kind of like patting. It's about as much as he can muster right now.
Just to insert real fast. Eska's keeping watch just to make sure nothing else comes in. She's just got her bow by her side, just on the off chance.
Make a perception check.
18.
Okay. So you, as you just kind of look around, you see, so on the floor, and because you're on the lower level, so right at your feet, basically, there's a collection of orcs who tumbled off the bridge, including one who's currently lit up with an arrow in I think it's either an arrow or javelin. I kind of lost track of what was what. I think it was an arrow that's kind of lodged into him. That's sort of about, what's that, 30 feet away from you, give or take. And you see the javelin that Silvarius threw earlier is right next to you. Sort of due north of you, maybe 60 feet away, you see the cave shrink back down into what looks like another tunnel. A little ways down, the slight blue flicker of one of the candles.
She'll as she walks by each orc, she will just not aggressively, but she'll just testingly kick them in the wounds, like as she walks by, just to make sure they're actually dead. Not gonna jump up and stab her. But then she's just gonna like whilst everybody's getting themselves together, she's basically just gonna make sure nothing else. Just keep an eye out until she feels like people are, everybody else is on alert.
Okay. None of them move in an unexpected manner.
Cosette's gonna walk over and while she's walking kind of closer to the others, she's gonna use lay on hands to kind of repair the gash on her side for 15.
And as you do so, you see the wound close over, but there's a healthy scar that remains. You're not sure if that's because just the severity of the wound, or if maybe there was something, because that both of there was the one orc who was in pretty heavy armor, who was dealing some pretty nasty damage to you, as well as Hrashnar. The damage that you were taking, like you felt like the wounds blacken. You could see them blacken. So you were being hit with something sort of, impure. So you're not sure if that's quite why it's scarring so badly, or if it's something else. But
Okay.
It doesn't feel good. Definitely does not feel good.
After a bit of, the awkward patting, I will actually sit down next to Claire. Just, try to be comforting. And say, things happen in combat. It's hard to stop yourself sometimes. It's unfortunate. Sometimes mistakes will be, I've made them a lot in the last few days. Sometimes you can't get over them, but you've always got to try.
She kind of just sniffles and nods and says, he'd hurt Cosette and Silvarius so much, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get to them, and I was just so mad.
You are a dwarf. Whenever I've had friends threatened, it can be hard. Be hard to stop.
So Varus he kind of stopped when Bardur started to talk to Claire, and just listened a little bit. And when he started talking about the Black Orc, and the fact that the Black Orc adjacent creature has vanished, he starts rattling his brain trying to think of anything about that.
Make a history check, or religion, actually, history or religion.
12.
Okay. You don't know what this creature was necessarily, at least not specifically, but you do know enough to know that the way that what happened to its remains would be consistent with what happens with some fiends when they are slain. Beyond that, it's kind of hard to know.
So Varus just pipes up when there's a moment.
Do not be sad. Claire, that creature, I believe, is not one to trust. Something fiendish about it. Bardur was right.
So it was maybe not the wrong thing to do?
One can argue what is right and what is wrong. We were here to handle orcs. We bit off quite a bit more than we could chew. However, it was our task. Where I come from, you follow the mission. They were fortified. One could theorize why that was the case. They did, I'm assuming, expect us. But one could question if they were expecting more. Like our dragon friend back there.
Were there any bodies left up on the bridge?
Yeah, the orc blade of Ilnaville, he would still be up there, as well as a couple of regular orcs. They're all sort of up just behind where Cosette is currently standing.
We won't know much without searching the bodies. Perhaps there is information on them.
He'll put on his best not injured walk past Cosette and start looking through what's remaining up top.
Make a performance check with disadvantage.
Oh, Christ.
I clicked the wrong P button. Persuasion's much better than perception.
It's alright, it doesn't matter too much.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, no, you can tell. You can tell that Silverus is putting on a bit of an act, trying to look better than he feels.
And this just started now.
Yeah, I mean, like when you were over by the bridge initially, and he kind of put his hand on you. Obviously, he was in bad shape and wasn't trying to hide it. Now all of a sudden, he's trying to act normal. But yeah, so Varus, you can wander over towards the bodies on the top there.
She just pats him on the shoulder as he walks by. Not too hard.
I'll pat. Well, I'm gonna pat Claire on the shoulder and get up, and I'll just kind of whisper, it's like, kind of like roll my eyes a bit and say, if you need to talk about it, feel free. I've been through some things, so feel free to talk to me. And I just, try not to make it as awkward as possible, but probably not succeeding. And I will look around too, specifically looking for arrows.
She gives him kind of a wibbly, watery smile, and you can see her kind of just try to pull herself a little bit together at least. And as she's obviously noticing Silvarius not doing very well to hide his injuries, kind of like a little like expression comes on her face, and she puts her hands together and tells everyone, don't stray too far. Stay kind of around me, and I can maybe heal us all just a little bit. And for the next 10 minutes, she will be casting Prayer of Healing on everyone within 30 feet of her.
Alrighty.
Cosette is going to pay very close attention and actually kind of like mirror as best she can what she's doing, kind of trying to like learn this prayer.
What language are you praying in?
For this one, actually, she's probably going to do it in Celestial.
How does that make you feel, Cosette?
Confused.
Everyone does get 10 HP back.
Hello.
Thank you.
That's at least half of Eska's health.
Yeah, Cosette, you kind of watch and just try to understand what's happening. And while the words don't mean anything, the essence is clear. And you feel like, you feel a connection. This is, it's obviously in your wheelhouse.
She's just trying to like understand. She's familiar with healing magic, and she's just trying to like kind of see if that's something that she could possibly imitate. And so I think she would get a lot of just paying very close attention to that ritual, even if she can't understand
Yeah.
it.
Also, Bardor, you can kind of see, looking, sort of as you get up, you just glance over beyond the bridge onto the sort of the raised area in the middle of the cavern.
Yep.
It looks like there might be a raised platform over there with a crude throne of some sort or seat. Given where they came from, you would assume that was sort of like the entrance. Eska, you can almost see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
Well,
Eska, you can't because you're on the ground.
No, I went up the ladder.
Oh, you've come up the ladder?
When I
Okay.
saw the ladder, I figured I could probably get a better view, so I went up there.
I'll definitely I'll point it out so we can all kind of like go around and search the bodies and do the ritual.
So, Silverius,
Just real
go on.
quick, before people come back over, what were you doing, Silverius, over there? You were checking something.
I was gonna go looking through the bodies, but depending on when you came up, I was gonna alter a potential of that.
I would
action.
probably step up there, and if you kind of were close by, she would just nod to him and say, "You did well," and just turn back to surveying the scene.
You, the same, Eska.
He kneels down and kind of starts rifling through, and as he's rifling through the bodies, he speaks in Draconic.
Your powers, they are impressive. Where do they come from?
I don't know. I think something must have touched me. There's something new. I feel like every day I feel it grow slightly, and I don't really know what I'm capable of, so I just feel it out a little at a time. What I did today was new to me. I hoped it would help, but I'll be honest, I wasn't entirely sure what might happen.
It was very important. Corset and myself. What would have happened without it? I don't know.
I may have to be careful in the future, though. It looks like it has quite some consequences when it wears off, so I don't want to leave you, I don't want to give you that sudden jolt mid-battle, so I will try to be careful.
Frankly, I am surprised you didn't.
And he kind of crooks a small smile.
Well, Cosette's very dear to me.
Ah, yes. My fate hinged upon her.
She
He stops and thinks about it for a second, like it did.
she doesn't sort of entirely smile, but she does kind of, I guess, soften her look slightly for a moment. You're a good team, though. You two should stick together in the fight. It's hard to. It seemed like it was hard for them to break you down when you're together. So, what do you got there?
What do I got there?
Okay, so all of the orcs have crude longbows. They're not necessarily up to the standard of your elven crafted longbow, but I mean clearly they're effective. To that point, Bardor, as you're kind of like looking around for arrows, you see all of the orcs have a quiver on them containing probably at least 10 arrows or more per orc. Some of them did not fire many shots at all, so they're not refined in style, but they are very effective.
All right. I think I'll probably grab about 10 or so, and
Okay.
then I'll call over to Eska and be like, "You want any of these?"
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll grab another 10 from one of the ones that's close by to me. Yeah, these'll do.
The armor the orcs are wearing is pretty battered at this stage, from all of the abuse you guys just dished out. It would likely cost as much to repair it as it would to just buy a new set. The regular orcs are wearing hide. The Blade of Ilnavel is wearing chainmail that has been shredded in places. The chain sort of like various links have come apart. He does, however, have a rather brutal-looking longsword at his side. The orcs have great axes alongside them that are in, salvageable condition. Unfortunately, the Orog, who was incinerated, the plate mail is basically beyond repair. Between, I think he was incinerated and then frozen,
Yeah.
and so the plate sort of like cracked and splintered. And likewise, his weapons were damaged in the conflagration. So his stuff's not worth much use. But yeah, you can probably find, half a dozen longbows, half a dozen great axes, and then the longsword belonging to the blade. As you kind of go across the bridge there, you can also see the priest, who's still lit up right now, has a mace at his side. As you cross the bridge, Bador, you see it looks like much like to the northeast. There's another sort of narrowing, and the ceiling kind of closes down. It looks like there may be another path that leads off to the northwest from here, a crossroads of sorts. You can see more of the pools of green liquid, of whatever sort of liquid that is. You can see the bridge, mostly all the way over now to the other raised platform where one of the orcs was initially when you entered. And now you're up close. You can see on a raised platform there is indeed a wooden. It has the appearance of a throne, and then either side there's a couple of chests.
I will go well, and then I'll pull out my pipe, not my fancy pipe, because I'm not trying to entertain, but I'll strike up a smoke as I get to work. So I'll check them for traps. Do you want me to do that one at a time, or?
Yes, please. Start with the one on the right, let's say.
Yep.
He needs to do a history check the age of these locks.
Yeah, I should. So I got a 0 on that one because -1.
So you look at it. Pretty sure it's not trapped.
Yep. So I'm gonna look and see if it's locked or anything like that. Open it up. Try to open it up.
It does appear to be locked. Yes. So that's thief tools, please.
6.
Okay. So you go to unlock this one. I think it's going well. You hear a couple of clinks, and then you kind of pull the tools out. Go to open it. Nothing happens. And then as you try to lift it, lift the lid, and you hear some more chinks. Your dwarf brain instantly recognizes that as the sound of money hitting money, and it's quite a weighty chest.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll call out. Well, this one seems good, but I can't get it open.
Did you look for a key, Bardo?
That's a good idea. Look for a key on one of the bodies. And I'll look around a little bit and just kind of go over to the other one and try to lockpick that one too.
Okay. You investigating it first, or you just going straight in?
I'm just gonna go in because I was like the other one wasn't, so this one won't be.
Okay. Make another dexterity check.
Dear Lord, 6 again.
Good thing that wasn't one lower. Yeah, same result. You fiddle with it for a while, get frustrated. Having heard the other one make some noise, you just kind of give this one a little shove just to kind of hear. Your initial feeling is that this is lighter, does not make satisfying clinking noises. It also does not eat you or explode, so that's pretty good.
I'll say, yeah, we need to find a key or something. So I'll like look around the throne to see if there's like a key.
Hearing the word key, Claire starts ruffling through her side pouches, pulls out the mysterious key that she was given.
Yeah.
And just kind of holds it up to everyone and says, haven't had the opportunity to try it on anything, but should we give this a shot? And she'll just start making her way over towards Bardor in the chests.
Eska's got no idea what she's going on about. She wonders why she's offering her house keys to try and open a chest.
I mean, as she gets closer, I'll just basically be worth a shot.
I've been wondering anyway what this thing actually does. And she'll just kneel down and try to gently insert the mysterious key into one of the locks.
Which one? Left or right?
Right.
Okay.
The heavier one.
Roll a d20.
7.
Okay. Key goes in. That's good. And you kind of wiggle it. Nothing seems to happen.
She just sighs. Well, it was worth trying.
Now, just for my clarification, it was Silvaris and were you the only one who was looting bodies?
You know, I'm kind of curious about the sword. So at some point, I'll probably, if nobody seems interested in it, I'll probably wander over and pick it up. But that's kind of it. I'm leaving the rifling to Silvarius. I'm still keeping watch. Kind of.
Definitely.
I would, because I would go on over to the chests.
So Silvarius, have you literally done everybody in the thing at this point, or you've just focused on the ones on the top deck?
I would have started on the top and then addressed, like maybe asked Eska if she had checked the bodies down below, and if not, I would make my way down there and probably start rifling through, looking for any kind of signs of more than just gear.
Give me 3 investigation checks. And while he's doing that, Eska, you pick up the sword. It is it's about 4 feet long. So I mean, it's a decent size.
That is a long sword.
Yeah, it is mostly sharp on one edge, serrated towards the top of the blade. Appears to be, steel. Function over form. Based on the amount of blood on the ground around, you would suspect it's quite an efficient blade.
So I sling my bow, and I just, I just give it some practice swings. I'm technically proficient with a long sword, so I've trained with them before, I suppose, at some point in my youth. So just try and feel the weight of it, feel if it seems usable.
Give me a strength check, and you would add your proficiency to this.
Okay, so that's gonna, that's gonna be what, 20?
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
It feels pretty good in your hands. It takes you a while to kind of go back to a very different time, but there is a part of you that this feels familiar.
Yeah, I try and sort of run through drills that I can vaguely remember in my head.
Mm-hmm. It's a very different experience to, say, wielding like a dagger or a short sword. Quick movements. It has to be labored and deliberate. and it doesn't feel as natural to you because you tend to be more about nimble and speed. But I mean, you feel like you could still wield this effectively.
Once I kind of do a few drills, I kind of turn to Silveris and I say, you're only the other real sword wielder of the group. Do you have any use for this?
Orcish blades are not for me.
Okay,
As he-
I might hold on to it for a bit. My dagger hasn't been feeling particularly effective as of late. This feels like maybe it could get through a bit more. And she just continues to kind of like, sort of practice with it. She pretty much is only using it two-handed. She doesn't really have the strength to do it one-handed, so she's just kind of wielding it two-handed. And
Soares kind of quips.
Don't hurt yourself.
I'll try. And she'll, I guess if it had some kind of sheath, she'll grab that and try and rig it so that she can kind of sling it over her back under her cloak for the moment.
Okay.
If she can't do that right now, she'll just grab it and try and fix it up later.
Yeah, there is a sheath on the warrior.
Just one quick question. Was this a solid... What was putting... was it the other guy that was doing horrible damage? Different types of damage? It wasn't this, right?
Yeah, both were.
So I guess slightly noticing that, she'll kind of make a mental note to check it a bit more thoroughly later.
Okay.
It doesn't feel evil, right?
Make a...
Like, it's not kind of pulsing like the
Make an
Mara-
evil
Before we
check.
pass the amulet around.
yeah,
no, it does not appear to be...
like inherently buzzing
yes. With evil intent.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not getting that vibe.
That's
That's-
not hearing voices.
Kill Silverius.
I mean, I'm not
no,
going to comment on whether
probably
Eska's hearing voices. That's between her and her friends.
Yeah.
So Varys, you are going through the bodies on the ground there. Most of the orcs have fallen and landed at very uncomfortable angles. Limbs and necks are all pointing in directions they should not. This isn't your first rodeo. You're able to sort of look past that and very matter of factly like pat the bodies down, checking, especially after there was suggestion of looking for a key. You kind of keep an eye out for that. Eventually, you do find around the priest's neck on a piece of string a small key.
Do a little like quick pop off of his neck.
His neck cracks. It was already a bit dislodged from the fall, and it makes a very uncomfortable noise as you tug the string. It stays attached. It just is a slightly more awkward angle than it was.
Stands up and he hollers up to either
Bardor, Claire, a key down here.
and waits for one of them to peek over the ledge so he can toss it up.
I guess I'll walk over to the edge and so you look down.
I throw him the key.
Hop, hop.
Bardor, make a dexterity check.
This is why Claire didn't go get the key.
Yeah, that was what I kind of figured. This is feeling very Blood Bowl right now. Oh, good gracious.
So I give
Not-
him not walking the key up.
Natural one.
You sort of slightly blurrily try to catch the key, and it just hits you in the face and lands at your feet.
Smoke in my eyes. Ugh. I'm gonna lean down and pick it up.
As you've sort of been near this throne, that sulfur smell that you had picked up at various different times is quite strong here again. So Varys and Cassette, you had that smell in spades as you were fighting Rashnar, but it is lingering more strongly here where you are, Bardor. It's probably the strongest you've smelt it.
So I'll say I was like, it stinks pretty bad over here.
That's fiendish presence. There's an odor about them.
He seems to have been leading this bunch, huh?
A fair assumption.
Well, that definitely has a bad note to it. Go ahead and try to open up the chest.
You place the key inside, turn it to the right, and nothing happens. Turn it to the left, and it opens. Kind of caught you by surprise. You're about to pull the key up and just throw it away. Yeah, it is now unlocked.
Then I will open it.
Okay. Slowly open the chest. And inside, you see a pretty decent collection of coins. Copper, silver, gold, platinum. Even the odd electrum piece in there. Eyeballing it, you would guess it's a lot. Hard to put an exact number on it right now. Just sheer quantity-wise, you'd say there's probably more silver than anything else, but there's a decent chunk of everything. There's also a few more gems here. Not unlike the ones that you found at the Dragon's Hoard. You're not necessarily an expert on gems, but you would guess that they were of similar ilk and vaguely similar size. But to really know how much is in here, you'd have to, have a little sit down.
Count it up. Yep. Well, I'll announce. I was like, we got a lot here. I'm sure they made a good living by pilfering people as they went by, but I'm not sure how to. It's like, yeah. I think we might have made out. I don't think this is one of those things you can really give out to a bunch of other people. I'm kind of like talking to myself a little bit as I go over to the other one. I'm talking out loud, but I'm talking to myself too. Mm-hmm. So just basically telling everybody we're like trying to convince everybody yeah, we're taking this. So don't get too attached to the idea of giving this away. So and then I'll go to the next one.
Which way did you turn the key?
I guess the left, since that's the way it went last time.
Okay. Turn it to the left. Nothing happens.
So I'll try the other way.
So you turn it to the right. Lock opens.
Tricky. Open it.
Okay. Slowly open. And
unlock it and just walk away.
Yeah, I know. I was like, and I'm done.
Inside, you see what appears to be some sort of fabric, like bundled up. Looks pretty nice. Like maybe a cloak of some sort.
I'll grab it, pull it out. Say, fancy cloak here. It looks like.
Make a dexterity check. Just check. 7.
Okay.
So as you pull it up, about half a dozen things sort of like tumble out as it was sort of wrapped around these things, and so you just grab the cloak and lift it, and everything sort of falls out back down into the chest, and you hear a little, basically the sound of glass cracking slightly, and as you kind of look down, you see an assortment of things. There's one, this nice cloak that's in your hand still. You see what looks to be, and it's not something you would ever have worn, but it looks to be a cummerbund. Would be your best understanding of what you're seeing. A vibrant purple cummerbund, a nice looking cap that would keep the rain off. 2 vials, one of which has a crack in it, and its contents is gently seeping into the wood. And you see a little rolled up piece of paper.
I'll pick up the vial real quick to like turn it so it doesn't like spill all the way out.
Okay, as you try to, I mean, you would estimate now that the crack was sufficient enough that more than half the liquid has already poured out from that one. The other one seems to have survived intact. Looks to have landed stopper first. Best you can tell, they're probably the same thing. Like just eyeballing the liquids quickly, like a silvery liquid. A little hard to tell exactly because you're not really working with a light source at this point. There is some light flowing up from the 2 lit objects on the lower level, but the light's not really carrying over here very well.
As I'm looking down, I'll just be like, I'll just say, "Go, Claire," and I'll just kind of like hand him behind me. As I like begin to like, and I'm gonna pull out the note.
Okay. As you open it, you realize this actually looks like a scroll or a spell scroll.
Looks like we might have found some good stuff here after all. Maybe you spell slingers might want to take a look at this.
It doesn't look like anything that you're familiar with. Oh, and there's a nice looking belt with a very fabulous looking buckle, steel buckle.
Looks a little bit fancy for me. Wait for everybody to kind of come over if they want to like kind of like let them look at things and see if anybody wants anything or anything like that.
Before I head back up, was that the main? Was that the key find on
Yes.
the bodies?
Yeah, you as you go through, you basically are finding the same thing every time, which is not a lot. You're seeing weapons, the armor, and that's about it. The key is literally the only standout thing. You do also see a holy symbol, a carved image of what looks like a sword coated in liquid. And sort of thinking back, you remember the large floating sword dripping with blood, and you suspect that may well have been the sort of manifestation of the image of the holy symbol, essentially.
Okay, or it looks. I would assume Orcish or
Make a religion check.
15.
Yes, Orcish. You would suspect that this is the symbol of Ilnavel, one of the Orc pantheon, and very much associated with, violence and war.
I'll actually take that with me too, and then I'll head back up to the group.
Claire will do the little pinky drop test on the potions to see if she can figure out what they are.
Okay. Yeah. Basically there's like a half of one that's in danger of escaping, but they both look the same. Now that you're kind of all here, does someone have a light source up at this point?
I would have probably transferred my light source up to me up top, so
Yeah.
visibility
Okay.
was
Just
acceptable.
real quick, I actually have kept my vials that I have used, so I can hand Claire one.
Okay.
And be like, here you go, you can transfer that over, so it won't leak out. Sorry.
They appear to be the same. They're silvery with little, almost looks like red dust, almost like brick or clay. As you're sort of like looking at your hand idly, you see tiny little hairs kind of sprout out from your fingers. Just very gentle little hairs.
Polyjuice potion.
And so it's on your fingertips, like on the inside, rather than on the outside of your hand, if that makes sense. The idea just kind of comes to you to go over to the wall, and you kind of put your hand there, and your other hand, and you can kind of climb up the wall with distinct ease. And so would assume that this is 1.5 potions of climbing.
She, just excitedly turns back to the group. If no one asks for it, she will definitely just slide it into her fancy little potion carrying box.
Oh, yeah.
And I am going to start putting money in my pockets.
So you see Bardor just like grabbing money and putting it in his pockets. Any objection from anybody? Any reaction?
Just looks like normal, really.
Jealousy? I don't know.
Because as you look down into the chest, you see maybe a half dozen of the tourmaline and aquamarine gems. Half dozen total.
How big are these chests?
What'd that be? Like,
Really wanted to make a joke there. Family show.
You said these
gotta
were
get that off
weighty
your chest.
chests, Phil, right?
Yes. Very weighty.
I mean, have a big chest.
I mean, it's a pretty big chest. Yeah. It's certainly more than one person could handle.
Gonna take
Given the heft. I don't know, 18 by 12 inches.
I mean, I will be like, hey, does anybody else want any?
Okay. Make a. What does this fall under? A looting check. I don't have one of those.
Man, I gotta go with disadvantage for this too.
No, it's all right. You'll get a straight roll for this, just based on your greed
Fair.
and dwarven rage. Athletics or acrobatics?
This is very much.
exciting pocket.
This is definitely Scrooge McDuck. Acrobatics. 17.
Okay. Not only are you able to grab a decent chunk of the money, you also fairly you nimbly kind of like fish through and grab a decent share of the platinum pieces that are there. So you can add to your personal inventory 25 platinum, 400 gold.
Oh my gosh.
Because you're being quite discerning, 300 silver. As you just sit there, grabbing and loading it into your bag.
As he's like loading the stuff up, Silvarius walks up beside him, and he wants to grab about 10 platinum out.
This could very well serve our cause.
Pockets his 10 platinum.
You can do so easily.
If Bardur left.
Oh,
He did.
I'm not gonna tell the people they can't grab some.
Roll initiative.
Right?
Can I make an insight check?
Yes.
On who? Me?
Yeah.
On you personally, James, not on Bardur.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. Cool. Oh, it was almost a 20.
Not much.
Okay, what are you trying to discern?
She just is like shocked because she kind of got out the bag and like
She's
was
just standing there
kind of like
waiting with
ready
it.
to put the bag, and he just like starts shoving stuff into his pockets, and it's just so surprising behavior. She just kind of looks at him with a weird eye and like is like, that was weird. So she's just standing there with the bag open, like watching him do this, and then Silveri's kind of it's like he comes over and he's like starting to stuff stuff into his pockets, and she's just like very confused. But
Much more calmly,
And you
though.
know that he just sort of like picks through, like no, yes, no, yes, just
like he's picking
picking
out
out the nice big platinum pieces.
Yeah, like the Kit Kats, you know, like somebody held up a bowl, and you're like, "Do you have any Butterfingers?" No, I don't want those circus peanuts, like at Halloween or something.
I don't know what you want. I mean, he clearly said going to town. So
Bardur sifting through this gold reminds me of my dog eating dog food.
Yeah.
Just like,
Does at some point
Slowly
Bardur and
puts the bag
Silverius
away.
stop?
do what?
I assume at some point Bardur gets up, maybe, and stops?
yeah, I guess I'll fill my pockets.
Or does he
and
just
then-
keep
How
kind
many-
of going and
many
eventually
gold
just
did I
lays
say
down
again?
and keeps laying it on top of his body?
Gold, I believe 400.
400. Okay, that's right.
I guess Eska will just wander up and say, "Oh, Cassette, you can grab the bag again."
I believe Bardur has had his fill.
And he looks to Bardur.
Bardur's
Sternly.
thighs look huge from.
There is no shame in his face whatsoever, and he's just like, "Go ahead, get some."
Eska will attempt to load money into the bag if Cassette presents it.
Did I put the gems on there because I figured I was grabbing those? Did Bardur take those, or are they still in
No,
the...
I'm not a
They're still
gym
there.
man.
I just put them on the list, so I was making sure I still had them.
So Eska, you start with platinum pieces.
No, Eska doesn't care. She just grabs handfuls.
Okay. You grab and you just start pouring in. And grab and pour in. And grab and pour in. And this takes a couple of minutes as you just keep grabbing and pouring. Cosette, you're just sort of like trying to vaguely calculate what's going through. Now, because it's going in, it's then going to be tricky to figure out what's in there without emptying it again. You would guess somewhere in the region of 40-ish platinum pieces and probably a couple of thousand gold pieces. This is a heap of coins.
Hey, I don't know. I think my headset just messed up. How many?
So about 40-ish platinum pieces,
Okay, I heard that right.
a couple of thousand gold pieces.
Okay, see, I think it's messing up. What? Are you sure that number's correct?
Yeah. You lost count very quickly of silver. It's like a
Gold
C.
pieces, probably cursed. Okay, I got it on this.
Did we manage to get the rest out?
Yes, it all goes in.
Okay.
So just out of
That bag holds a lot.
yeah, apparently. Out of curiosity, do I notice like in my joy that like people are kind of judging me?
I doubt it.
While the gold is being all filtered and stuff, like Sylvaris is gonna broach that, like,
And the plan for this, I would assume, is to expedite our recent endeavors with the Pickled Quipper, perhaps, amongst many other possibilities.
Most definitely. I will look. I'm just like I said, with no shame. I did tell Duarte that I wanted to get some money, and I figured, as we go along, if we can get some, investing in the Pickled Quipper would be a good way of doing it.
Well, as I remember, we were trying to get money enough to be able to make a good trip to Drakesburg as well, and have enough to grease palms and such whilst we were there.
Feel like this will be a good, definitely a good start with that.
This
and he motions towards the bag,
or that?
and he points to your pockets.
Either or. I've been pretty. I've from the beginning. I've basically been willing to share, and I've definitely taken some here. But I did not tell anybody that I would take it, and nobody else could have any. Each one of you can grab some if you want to. So you can split this if we want to, and I'm fine with that. But under no assumption was I that we would continue to always, just have a group fund.
No. Indeed, a fair share. To each our own. I just wish to make sure that you are not only in this for the money.
I suppose that's fair. But no, I'm not in this only for the money. If I was in this only for the money, then I wouldn't have been here for this long. Because we haven't seen a lot of it. This is the first time we've actually seen any legitimate.
And I don't want you running off with it.
I step forward at a minute and I'll say in a grim tone, question my honor one more time.
Good.
And a slight smile.
Question it, Silverius.
That was the answer. That was the answer he wanted. He feels convinced.
Definitely paraphrase that in my notes. I like how I worded it. It seems pretty accurate.
What did you put?
I said, Sylvaris questions Bardor's motive, is satisfied by Bardor's threat of violence. Bardor,
Mm-hmm.
what did you do with the scroll?
I would have put it on the throne.
I guess I would investigate
Okay.
that. Scroll.
You sort of unravel it, and this doesn't indeed appear to be a spell scroll. quick glance through, sort of deciphering the arcane runes, this appears to be a scroll of Tasha's hideous laughter.
And as he's kind of like looking over that, he's like,
One of Tasha's personal favorites.
I guess if anybody doesn't say anything, he'll just roll it back up and put it in his pocket for now.
If nobody's taken that cloak, Esker's gonna grab it. If nobody seems to make a move for it,
If you want, you could call it a fine autumnal cloak.
that's what I was thinking. I was actually wondering about using it in the for camouflage in autumn.
And I think what would really set it off is that cummerbund.
That'll set me off if you're not careful. If nobody makes a move for any of the other clothes, I'll just pick them up with the thought of selling them at the clothes shop at some point, seeing if they will trade them in.
Oh, I forgot to mention, because I didn't make a note of it in the right place. So as you get to the bottom of the chest of coins, you do also find an extinguished blue candle that looks reminiscent to the ones that you have seen along the route.
Huh.
Did we see a place where that would go?
Is there anywhere like?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's what's gonna. No, that's exactly what I was.
No, not over here.
I guess I pull it out and say, should we take this to where we're headed? See if there's anybody there that knows how to invigorate it.
Yeah.
Given the path is clear, certainly worth trying.
So it is about 6, give or take. After all the looting and praying and such. You've been on the road close to 3 days. With good travel, you might have already made it to Badger Down. You have had some interruptions. So what would you like to do?
Would we have had time for a short rest as far as that goes in our almost hour of being around here? Would this have been like light enough activity, or?
I don't think so, not yet. If you stuck around maybe another 20, 30 minutes, you probably would have.
Silvaris would just say that
I am currently well enough to travel. How about the rest of you?
Cassette's still got like dried blood running down the side of her face and like a healed wound, but she's still looking pretty rough. I could use a little bit of a rest before we go anywhere. Just a breather.
Okay.
We are bound to be close by now. Either way, a brief respite would benefit us.
I don't like the idea of leaving these bodies strewn about like this for anybody else coming by. I was just going to try and maybe move them off to the side, and I don't know, maybe we should burn them.
I'll help with that. I short rest is like I can't really sit down right now because if I sit down, I'm probably gonna just pass out. I'll go ahead and help you out.
Thank you, Badder. Some of
Anybody-
them are a bit heavy.
And anybody else who needs to take a break, though, just feel free.
Yeah, I'm basically going to try and drag them up. Is the so the cave to the, as we look at the diagram here, does the cave to the left appear to go anywhere, or is it just a big opening that kind of is enclosed?
It looks like it might go down another tunnel.
But that's not the main tunnel.
No, you thought you saw the hint of the flicker of blue down the one sort of northeast.
I guess we could stack them over in the corner, perhaps, and attempt to burn them. At least they'd be out of the main thoroughfare.
It's true. Do we know what this liquid is? We could potentially throw them in there and see what happens.
No, I don't. How deep? Are these puddles deeper, or are these still pretty puddly?
They make an investigation check.
I'm not gonna put anything of that's attached to me in there, but I could toss a stone or a bit of orc in there. 2.
You give it a little sniff. It does smell kind of unpleasant. You drop a stone in there, and it disappears from view with a sort of a bloop.
Well, maybe you're right,
It
Bardo.
ripples.
I guess maybe we try and drag them over and see if we can roll them in there. See if they disappear. Just kind of get them
So
close to
you-
the edge and then just kind of give them a kick to roll them in.
Yeah, so you sort of start dragging the bodies and push them in there. And as you do so, there is a sort of a hissing sound on contact, suggestive of some sort of unpleasant melting or dissolving happening.
Does it seem like it's going to be caustic enough to actually like finish the job of, or they're just going to do some damage and not really be enough?
It's a
Hide the
little
bodies.
hard to tell. Over time, it might be enough. It does seem to be, like I said, there's some sort of reaction happening.
Let them sit there and maybe slowly go away, or do you just want to just take them out all at once with a burn?
No, I like the idea of popping them in these. It's
Yep.
you know, they're out of sight, out of mind. It's not really pleasant to come across the skeletons of creatures, so I think this is a good idea.
So you're able to
Push
kind of
them.
collect them up and shove them in there.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that we'll just go ahead and just push them into whatever the closest pool of this acid stuff is, so we're not dragging them everywhere, I guess.
Yeah, and you can see that there's some more on the other side of the bridge here,
Right.
where Claire and Cassette were... No, Silveris and Cassette were fighting.
Yeah. And as we're doing that stuff and dragging bodies and everybody, like the rest of them, I assume, are up to the top, like resting. I'll kind of
Mhm.
like sort of semi-whisper so other people don't hear it, but I'll talk to Eska and be like, so yeah, I feel really bad about some of my actions of late. Like I've put the whole group at risk, especially you. I feel like I've been apologizing more than I do, but it's true. I do apologize for my actions that have led us to these troubles the last couple of days. So
No, I thought you. I didn't get the feeling you were trying to start a fight today. I got the feeling you were trying to silence an alarm. So, I can't hold you in any real blame for that. When you have a split second, it's difficult to know what to do. I've accidentally started the odd fight myself before, so I know. I think it's part of the pressure of scouting ahead. Sometimes you run into a situation and you have to try and react in the moment, and sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. I guess today was tough, but you know you did what you could, as we all did, and we made it out. Certainly I would never have expected we could overcome such a force, so it gives me a little more confidence in us.
yeah, well, that's nice of you to say.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up too much, Bardo. I feel like we're all in danger of doing that a little bit, as we run into things and things happen. I know I have a habit of doing that myself a little as well. So you're one of our sharpest eyes in the group and sharpest shots. So we need you doing what you do. If you could wear this bright
Okay,
purple
well.
cummerbund, though, that would really help draw attention.
I'd really prefer not to.
Fair enough. I figured I'd give it a try. They really lost sight of you earlier.
They did until. Did you notice when Silvarius lit me up?
Yes, he's sneaky.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. All right. Okay.
I don't think he
And
was
then I just-
trying to, if that helps, but I'm never sure about him. One minute he's being all honourable, the next minute he's insulting some dignitary or something. It's very, very hard to keep him straight.
Yeah, Bardor laughs out, a pretty hearty laugh. I mean, I'm not great with tact either, so I can't really say much.
Ah, but that's your secret. You don't really say much.
Fair.
Well, I think that's the last of them.
So am I to take it from that you guys were sort of foregoing a short rest?
Yes, for
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You say that with
need a long- I
foreboding,
need a
Phil.
long sleep.
No, don't get so worried.
I need a long sleep, man.
Well, maybe that'll happen eventually.
Yeah.
There was about 20 minutes worth of bodies for them to move, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, everyone else has completed a short rest, so you can roll some hit die and regain
I was also
various.
curious.
It's definitely
features.
a lot because Eska's not really actually doing a whole lot of work. She kind of holds on to one leg, but Bardur is doing all the pulling.
That's about right.
Crap.
Just grabs
I
it.
get
Yeah.
another point of exhaustion. Thanks.
So just for funsies,
Wha-
while they're sitting there, Claire is gonna use her handy dandy new feature, harness a little divine power. So basically, I just use a bonus action, touch my holy symbol, utter a prayer, and I regain 1 expended spell slot.
Nice.
That's
So I'm
cool.
gonna regain a level 2 spell slot.
Tasty.
Cool. Alrighty, so bodies are shoved into puddles. People feel rested. What would you like to do?
I just want to make sure that while they were doing that, has Claire's attitude like shifted at all? Or she?
No, actually, even when everyone sits down for their rest of the 3 of them, she angles her body so that she can't see what Bardor and Eska are doing. And she's just kind of on kind of like a constant. She's casting dancing lights. So she's got 3 little blue glowing balls of light just kind of gently floating around the 3 of us.
That's Eli thinks it's very pleasant.
Normally, they'd be gold.
Blue.
Eli likes it. Silvarius thinks it's the most hideous thing he's ever seen.
I mean, it's all right.
I mean, he is blue. He should like it.
He's like he's actually more of a he's got a silvery tone to him. He is definitely descendant of silver dragonborns, but it's kind of like interlaced with like elemental blue.
We'll
Well,
be the
you are
judge of
blue
what
on
color
the
we think
art.
you are.
Blue.
You are officially blue.
It's like a silvery blue though. It's hard to tell.
A sort of awkward 20 minutes or so passes on the near the throne up there between you 3. So yeah, what would you like to do next?
Once Eska's finished, she just kind of stands on the bridge, kind of looking restless.
No, I mean, I'll just sit down like on a rock somewhere and just smoke.
Which pipe?
The smoke monsters.
Mhm.
Pipe of smoke monsters. Yeah. So I'll
Yeah.
just start going through the list of things that we've fought since we've been together.
Nice.
You guys ready to go to Badger Down?
I am ready to get out of, and at least this portion of the cave.
Is Badger Down in the caves?
You were led to believe it is in caves. Yes.
Eska's slumps. Well, the sooner we get there, the sooner we leave.
It has to be more inviting than where we currently are.
That's true.
Stands up.
I've certainly had my fill of this so far.
Who's leading the way?
I think I probably will.
Okay. Very quickly, you see the blue candle burning up ahead. A familiar plodding comes back as you start walking down the path. About an hour or so passes, and then one by one, you start to feel a tremor in the ground. Bador, you feel it first, but it takes a while for anyone to really register what's happening. There is a steady, rhythmic vibration through the ground, just a constant wum, 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 wum. And it's not until you hear something that you realize you're even feeling it. Carrying through the tunnels, you hear a melody playing out, almost like a music box. It's that sort of. It's very hard to hear because it's echoing through the caves, but it has that sort of metallic quality to it, like like a little jewelry box or something. Except instead of the sort of quick notes that you normally get with something like that, it is in time with that vroom, 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 every note changing constantly with that vibration that you're feeling. It slowly dawns on you that you're all hearing and feeling this, but you pick it up first. Then Eska and Claire, and you sort of start looking around. And as you sort of stop and start looking around, that's when Silverius and Cosette, you kind of pick up on it too. So all of you are now experiencing that. You kind of are aware of it. So the constant vibration, and this is once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. It is just sort of every half second or so. There's a vroom, 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 vroom. As the ground vibrates, and the melody playing is a little hard to. I mean, you can't identify any particular melody, and it's hard to sort of identify exactly what's happening because every note is sort of echoing through the tunnels towards you. So yes, you are now all aware of that.
Savaris is a little on edge, so he unsheaths the sword.
Does this seem familiar to any of my experiences in the Underdark?
No.
Does this mean we're getting closer to Badger Down?
Was that James or Bador?
Both.
Cassette is just looking around confused. She can't really see very well, and she's, depending on everybody else. So,
Severus, did you light it up?
Savaris, light on my sword.
As you light it up, there is a faint mist in the air that sort of like seeps into the tunnel. It's not like a damp mist. Like there's just a sort of a little fog.
Any sort of smell?
It's not like fog thick, right?
No, it's very
light.
it's very faint. Hard to pick up a smell right now. Make a perception check.
17.
Okay. Yeah, it takes you a little while to kind of latch on to what's happening because it's a weird blend. You're getting sort of like a combination of metallic smells, caustic and acrid smells. There's a hint of the puddles, those green puddles, like you almost get that sort of slight burning on your nose. Yeah, it's strange. Not like anything you've really smelled before. Assuming that you start, continue forwards. As you keep going, another couple of minutes. With each step, the vibrations get a little stronger. The sound gets a little louder. The melody becomes slightly more discernible. You press on, and the sound is getting really quite loud, and the vibrations are pretty strong. Not to the point where you're like losing your footing or anything, but you would now have to talk quite loudly to be heard at this point. As you continue on, the clouds take on a sort of greenish purplish, or as Pratchett fans would know, an octarine color, as it floods the caverns around you. It doesn't appear to be doing any damage. It's just sort of permeating the cavern at this point. And at this stage, the tunnel starts to open up a little bit, both in width and in height. And peering through this fog, you see a 30-foot high stone wall. It sort of looms out of the clouds towards you. There is a massive portcullis type gate approximately halfway, like at the midway point of this wall. Bardor, you probably have the best chance of picking this out. Looking at the top of the wall, you see, best guess, maybe half a dozen figures. It's hard to tell. Looks like they have something covering their eyes. You're a little distracted, though, because all of a sudden there are approximately half a dozen crossbows pointed at you. A voice yells out, Hold your position now! Identify yourselves immediately!"
I'll go Eska.
Oh, we are friends.
"What friends?"
Friends to be made. We were sent to take care of the orc problem. I'm hoping you're not part of that problem, but if you're not, we will be friends because we have dealt with it.
You hear some sort of muttering in Cosette. You recognize this.
Oh. Hey. Okay.
This is Gnomish. They basically, it's a little hard to hear, to pick up, just because they're not really like talking at you. But it's something along the lines of, can they be trusted? Who are these people who claim to be friends? And eventually, someone again in slightly broken common says, "One of you step forward. Present yourselves."
Cassette kind of whisper to Eska, like, they don't just, they're asking if they can trust us. Seems like they may be friendly.
Okay. I guess she will step forward and I guess lower her hood. Arms kind of stretched to her side, like, well, not stretched to her, like, just out to her sides, obviously, like palms open, in a non-threatening gesture. A very non-threatening gesture. Couldn't be less threatening.
Make a persuasion roll.
12?
Okay. So you step forward. You look up and you see 6, 7 crossbows pointing at you. At a brief glance, you can see these look like there's a lot of metal going on with these crossbows. You're used to seeing when you have encountered crossbows, which isn't often, in fairness. It tends to be more wood involved. These are very metallic. You can see a glint off. And actually, looking now, as you get closer, you realize that some of the light that was in this fog is actually being put out by large purple lights either side of the, like, at either edge of the wall, that are, like, filling this chamber. And you can see, again, you're slightly closer now, you can see all of these figures have a set of goggles on. As they stare at you, they say, "Okay, so you're not orc. I look at you. You're not orc. Who are you?"
My name is Eska. We are the Hand of Aegis. We were hired to clear the caverns of orcs so that trade could once again take place.
You got rid of orcs?
Yeah, it was not easy.
Was a lot of orcs.
Indeed. Some of them were even worse than orcs.
Okay, hold on. And there's a little bit more muttering, and one of the crossbows disappears from sight. And you hear the sound of feet stomping, presumably down some steps. Takes a little while because it's quite a high wall. And he just says, get comfortable. Takes a while to go get someone.
Take your time.
And yeah, the remaining crossbows stay pointed at your group. It is literally like a 5-minute wait as you're just sitting there, crossbows trained at you. And eventually you see there's the sound of a portcullis being raised. You kind of hear this sound. It's not the one in front of you, though. So you assume that must have been a second portcullis. You're not exactly sure how this is set up. And then coming up to the portcullis you can see in front of you. Something a little unexpected.
Whilst we were waiting, I will just say,
Yes.
Eska will just say back to Cassette, you understand what they're saying?
It's been a while since I've used Gnomish, but yeah, I understand them.
Perhaps you should, do the talking.
Yeah, okay.
If you're up to it. I know you're in a bit of a state.
Yeah, she steps up a little bit, towards the front of the group.
Yeah, as you're sort of waiting, you see this person step up to the portcullis. You see a tall, slender, red-skinned female wearing a really exquisite green dress with like a sort of a shawl covering the shoulders, almost inverted eyes in terms of the coloring. So it's like white pupils and then dark. What would normally be the whites of her eyes are dark. I say, like, what's that part of the eye? Oh, it's the white of the eye. That doesn't work. It's not white. She has a pair of horns that come out from her forehead, running back. And she sort of looks through the portcullis and like leans on it very casually and just says, my. Well, this is unexpected. We were supposed to be orc marauders, but here we are, bloodied and bedraggled adventurers. I am Voyage. I am known as the ambassador of Badgerdown. And you are?
And kind of as she's saying this, Cassette kind of whispers to herself, like something you kind of hear is like Eldath, and she is going to use her channel divinity, not the reflect damage back. She has something called Emissary of Peace. And so for 10 minutes, I will get +5 to any persuasion checks.
Okay.
We're the Hand of Aegis. My name is Cassette. Yeah, we encountered the marauders you speak of, and I don't believe there's any left.
She's like leaning. She's put her hands through. So she's kind of got her hands like either side of a bar, and she's just like leaning against it. And she smiles and says, "Well, that is very good news. You were paid to do this, were you?"
Yes, we were compensated, or will be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's like trying to stand straight and like kind of, brush her hair out of her, face, and trying to like.
Yeah, and as you do that, you kind of like your hand sticks against some of the blood that's still there on the side of your head. And you sort of like try to pretend that didn't happen.
It was something we knew we wanted to help with, but yes, we were compensated as well. So kind of a win-win.
And who sent you here?
Hazim Rolovar, he kind of contracted us out to help him with this.
Interesting. I wonder. Quite
Do you
sure
know
how that
him?
happened. Certainly, I know of him. Yes. As you may have understood from my name, I have travelled, and I am familiar with some of the notable denizens of Delzima. Well, I think it's high time we get you inside and cleaned up, perhaps. And she just sort of like looks to the side and takes a step back, and you hear another clanking start, and slowly the portcullis rises in front of you. Well, don't be a stranger. Come on in. And you kind of just casually glance up, and you realize that the crossbows are no longer being pointed directly at you. They're just sort of like being held to the side. But yeah, you are beckoned through the gate.
Cassette just kind of turns around and gives everyone kind of like a very, very nervous smile and turns and starts walking forward.
So as you go through the portcullis, the wall, so that it's about a 10-foot sort of square opening here. And as you walk underneath the portcullis, you see it is very sharp on the bottom. And you go into a stone corridor. You realize this wall is not only tall, but it's really quite thick. And so you go about 10 feet forwards, and there's another stone wall, and it sort of basically it juts to the side and goes towards another. You see the other portcullis that you heard. Beyond that, you see opening up in front of you, a city sort of opens up basically ahead of you.
Our second city, guys.
Yay!
And so as you come through this sort of like offset entryway, in front of you, well, first of all, the persistent noise, the clanging, the rhythmic sound, is still going on. It is constant. Just this thum 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 thum, and the melody, like I said, it's this metallic, just constantly changing note in a major key. But it doesn't seem to be like you haven't had enough time to really figure out if there's any sort of pattern, like any specific melody, or if it's just random notes. But there's this constant sound that plays out, and the ground is constantly vibrating under your feet. Voyage sort of sweeps in front of you and leads you in, and you see the cavern beyond the wall opens up at least 100 feet high. Directly in front of you is a large 3-story building made of stone, and you can see in front of it several more of the guards with goggles and crossbows. They're just sort of like sitting around in some chairs in the front of it. And as you walk in, they sort of stand and reach for crossbows, but don't actually, they're sort of ready to go for a crossbow if needed. Left and right, you see smaller buildings that look like they could be residential, 1-story buildings. Again, all carved with the same stone or made of carved stone that appears to be the same as the stone underfoot. But this cavern seems to go out quite a distance in every direction. Like it opens out left and right of you, and just you can see green light and occasionally some more of the purple light just sort of flooding this huge cavern. Behind one of the buildings to the left, you see a large pillar of stone going all the way up to the ceiling. And then behind the guardhouse, there is a second pillar that rises up. Yeah, you just sort of kind of taken aback because this is bigger than you had been led to believe. Badger Down seems pretty large. Voyage sort of turns and says, "Right. Before we do proper introductions, I really feel so very bad for you because we all look so awful. Come with me to the embassy. We have some facilities available. We'll get you cleaned up. I wouldn't want you to meet any of the conclave looking like this. You're really quite disastrous, and that just won't do. And then, once you've had a chance, maybe a little food, we can see about getting you to meet someone from the conclave. Come, and she sort of gestures you and leads you into the city as a whole. And as she does so, that is where we'll put a cut in for tonight.
Dun, dun, dun.
Badgerville, yay!
Badger Town.
Badger City.
Badgerville.
Should never just name anything. That's clearly where I went wrong. Just giving anything a name ever. Goodness knows what we're going to do with the other names of people here.
We're here. We can collect our badge of honor.
I want an I Heart Badgerville T-shirt, just as a souvenir.
They don't have any
Wearing
of
like
those.
a baby badger.
Huh.
Souvenir goggles. Maybe they sell them in the gift shop at the embassy.
Right next to the shot glasses.
It's not a guardhouse. It's a gift shop.
Free story.
That's why we had to. That's why we had to stop. Phil has to go roll random tables for gift shop prizes, and
If you think for a second I brought you here without having all of those lists pre-rolled,
You better have a shop. Don't leave Gnome without it.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for watching, everybody, or listening, whichever it was you were doing. Maybe you're doing both. That is possible, after all. Finally, the Hand of Aegis have reached Badger Down, deep underground, home of the Gnome. We'll join next time as they explore this vast underground city. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time for more Fables from the Pickled Quipper. Goodbye.